Hey guys, sorry about that.
No
Hey,
problem.
Hola.
Hello.
Okay,
Okay.
first, before I start fielding questions, let's get to the big one that I know a lot of people wanted addressed. Yeah, I'm always quiet. Please turn me up in Discord if you can't.
More quiet than usual.
More than usual?
Yep.
How's that?
Slightly better.
No, you're fine.
Mic is practically in my nostril. Alright, okay.
Il est écrit à l'envers.
D'accord. Alright, so in relation to wipe or not wipe, the short answer is we just haven't decided yet. There are a few factors to take into consideration. Quite a lot of them are technical in terms of crossplay, as well as please go to push to talk with your mechanical keyboard.
Church, can you force push to talk on the channel?
Whoever it is.
So yeah, it's a combination of technical aspects in regard to crossplay, and as we work on the Xbox release, which is not too far out, and then also looking at the new islands and the changes to the map. I understand that our player base is pretty much divided. There are people who really want to wipe, and there are people who really don't. I don't personally, I'm not talking for the studio here, just personally, I don't think that that one of those things will keep everybody happy.
Honestly, Dolly, this is just like nobody is here to demand answers from you. This is like just a general gathering of us, allies, enemies, publicly debating after this stream. Like, what
Sure.
are our thoughts? Because honestly, most of us, after seeing this stream and waiting for it for so long, most of it just felt like, okay, should we raise our islands and just quit? You know,
pretty much.
But
yeah,
and and yeah, it's that bad from our point of view. Because honestly, there's when you come with the roadmap, usually you come with a timeline as well, and everything is so vague and like people were expecting like a wipe announcement. Because let's face it, the game will have to wipe.
I understand that people are frustrated in the way that like they're perceiving it as coming across as vague, and honestly, we made a decision to avoid giving ETAs because that has really frustrated players in the past when we can't meet them. And it seems that in avoiding ETAs, then, people are sort of, well, is this just speculation? Are you really doing this? Is it just empty words? So it seems that whichever way we do it, is a little bit of a double-edged sword. I do want to address kinda, but that said, I'm not saying that in a way of like poor us. I understand that we have failed to deliver on some things, whether it's failed to deliver in time or just failed to deliver, and it's going to take a little time to build up the trust with you guys again. Can say that all of those things that were touched on are certainly being worked on in the background. We've had a lot of meetings about them. I will put a caveat in here too for our PvE players. I'm personally a PvP player, not that I get to play in Atlas too often because I'm so busy. I come from a background of 12k hours on official PvP and ARC. That's where I'm naturally more inclined to feel comfortable. That said, please don't take that as an indication that we're not paying attention to our PvE players. Overall, you guys do make up the majority of our player base, and there are certainly people in the studio who are more focused on PvE. Jat and myself are more PvP backgrounds, but I would say, overall, the majority of people probably more PvE experience. But I think that balances out because Jat and I have quite a say in the meetings. Erik, who's just come on board, comes from Guild Wars 2. I actually used to know him back when I led a pro team there, and his idea of PvP balance and such is pretty spot on. I'm excited to have him there. Couple of things that were brought up before I just open the floor to questions, because I think I can touch on a few things that I expect you guys will want to hear about. I had a couple of people message me asking about, balance issues and sort of glitches and exploits that are in PvP right now. The reason that they weren't gone through in great detail in the stream is because Erik is a designer. So we were more going for that overall holistic view of game design, the direction that it's going to take, the chart that he put up showing where he envisages people spending most of their time. But I'm fully aware of the bugs. That's more of a QA thing. That is being worked on. There is a lot on my list. We're aware, Torpor. I know that was mentioned briefly in the stream. The way that it interacts with some feats, blackjack. There's glitches at the moment with chairs underwater. There's an issue at the moment with some edge cases with underwater claim flags. Subs at the moment with contesting. That's an issue. Explosive barrel shenanigans. That's certainly something we're looking into. The glider towers. You've been making good use of those, SDC.
Yes. Bloody love glider towers, man.
It's all on the radar. Please don't take the fact that wasn't all addressed in detail in the stream as an indication that it's just the stream was more design focused.
The problem is most of the people watching the streams are many of us here tonight or today are like hardcore players, and the thing is, it seems like you're not addressing anything for us. It's really vague, and it's to me that there's no debate between wipe or no wipe, because in the current state of the game, it doesn't change anything. Like you can wipe right like tomorrow, and the end game is going to be the same.
Right, there's a lot that needs to be fixed, not only in terms of bugs, but also in terms of end game. Even things like just replayability of the bosses. I've been talking about ways. The Yeti boss fight's not bad. I think it's pretty good, and it would be nice if there was a reason to go back and do that.
Underwater base is very good. Yeah.
Can you guys make bosses farmable? Let's say they drop really good blueprint for ships.
That's stuff we're looking at. We've also discussed perhaps items like item drops that are somewhat unique that you can't get otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
Just reasons to incentivize going back to do that stuff. I think complete end game content, that's going to take a while. And yeah, and there's steps in the process, and we're definitely working on it. Will it be where we want it to be in the next couple of months? I don't think so. That's going to be more of a long-term thing as we work towards actual release. We're really focusing right now on quality of life. The amount of grind that it takes to, right now, what you guys are doing is, I'm just being blunt with you, no PR speak. You're grinding your farming mats to build your bases. You're farming mats to maintain them. You're farming to upkeep, pay your upkeep on your claim flags. You're farming for your ships, your high quality ships, even more farming, and then you're finally getting out on sea. Whether you're, PvP or a PvEer, the amount of work involved in all of that just to get to the stuff that most people find fun. And I recognize some people do like building, and we certainly want to keep that in the game, but overall, our ship combat and those aspects are the best parts of the game, in our opinion. And we want to, facilitate getting to that faster. Also scaling, that's a big one for us. The scaling at the moment in the game is, it's out of control. And, ship resistance and damage, just BPs in general. It's also difficult to balance weapons when you've got, players pumping health and high quality mythic gear. They're basically untouchable. And while we do certainly want to reward players who farm, for those good BPs, and get that good gear, work for that good ship. We think the gap at the moment is, it's too big. And also just, ship traveling time. It's too long. It's too tedious.
Talking unofficially, from your opinion, do you think the Xbox launch will be ready by end of year? Like,
absolutely.
let's say before Christmas.
Absolutely. And on that, we have no choice. It has to happen. Yeah.
Yeah, because
but maybe what should get addressed is gliders. So you can't glide from one island to another island. So people are forced to bring out ships and land with ships if they want to attack someone.
Yeah,
takes too long, mate.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this last Q&A. I mean, last Q&A we had the same question about the gliders. I don't know if it's hard to fix, but I feel it's not. And my concern is it's been like a month and a half maybe, and are you guys expecting us to keep playing this game for like 1 month, 2 months, until the Xbox release in the same state? Because what you said before is not completely true. We're not really farming anymore. We're not really keeping the upkeep on the islands. We're pretty much done. We're just fighting 24/7. There's not too much to do.
No, I understand that.
Sorry. What do you guys plan to do about the grapple hook, by the way? Are you willing to add any physics to that?
Wait, hold on a second. One question at a time. Yeah, let Ollie answer that one. You monkey.
Basically, like with both of the things that you asked, they're on the list. They're being worked on. I think I said this the last time that I had a bit of a voice conversation with a lot of people that, whilst like certainly isn't being used as an excuse, I think that it's important for people to keep in mind that we're like not gonna ever say we're indie. We're not. At the same time, we're not AAA. We're not Activision with 10,000. Well, since they fired 900 people, 9,100 employees. We, it can be tough sometimes to do everything at once, and that's why our early access period is pretty long, a 2-year. And
I mean, we understand
I think.
A while. I think it's just more of the priority that seems to be off. Like a lot of people have been noticing that, like you're coming out with skins and like end game bosses when the PvP mechanic isn't done. Now, I know it's a different people working on it.
It is.
That's how it looks to us.
You should be focusing less on Blackwood.
I understand like how it looks to most end users. Players. I'll stop using nerd speak, but we as I'm sure many of you understand, they're all different departments. Say, for instance, with the creatures, just as one example, not all, but most of those creatures were ready to go by January, and they've just been slowly rolled out. It has been quite a bit of time since anyone at the studio said, hey, what the game needs is another creature. It may appear that way, there's a couple more coming in this next mega update, but that's not the case. Like the focus shifted from that quite some time ago. With skins, different department, the art guys need something to do. You don't want the art guys programming, trust me. So right.
Donnie, is Jeremy still working on both Arc and Atlas?
He's sort of an overseeing, Jeremy is an exceptionally talented programmer, and as I'm sure many of you know,
I know. That's why I'm asking, because I know he's like the backbone of your company, and we all know that. Obviously, lately he probably spent more time on the Arc DLC, and now he has time for Atlas. That's my theory, at least.
No, a different team actually worked on the Arc DLC. Jeremy checked in a few times, but he's been on Atlas. He's been on Atlas, and we've been the group of us. I'm on Jeremy's team. We're up at 3:00 in the morning as he goes through, the SVN and his bug fixes.
So pretty much he's working hardcore on Xbox, and once this Xbox launches, then I'm pretty sure that you guys will kill these bugs and make these balance fixes rapidly. Because as you said in the stream, you guys want to bring both platforms on the same level. So you don't have to do like I forgot the word right now, but you know what I mean. Like you don't want to fix the same thing twice. You want to go with one push at the time, and that will speed up the production.
Yeah. There will be. I expect that there will continue to be some bug fixes. In between now and the Xbox launch, but yeah, the big changes, the balance that we talked about, that will all be around the time of the Xbox launch and shortly after. And I'm not talking months after. Like, again, I don't want to go in and give you guys an ETA, but what we're talking about is, the weeks after, just then focusing on getting like that stuff rolling in, so that it's quite fast and, so that the people.
Yeah, so you guys, you'll be steamrolling on balance patches once Xbox launches. So pretty much we need to hold the line until Xbox launches, pretty much. That's what I'm getting from all of them.
You sound like Valor.
Really? maybe because you avoid me.
No, I meant Valor Man. Valor Man, the Arc streamer.
Okay.
Hold the line, yeah.
Will there be is there any consideration to reverting the tribe limit, the company limitations?
Perhaps. That's a tricky one. It really is. That's so hard, and it's so difficult in a sandbox style game. Try to give large groups the freedom that we'd like to, whilst also looking out for the smaller groups. And I mean, this is just me personally. I'm not speaking for the whole studio, but I feel like a lot of that is essentially in the hands of the players. We can give you guys the infrastructure and sort of try to facilitate ways that those different groups can get what they want out of the game, but ultimately I think some of that comes down to you guys. But to answer your question, we're not decided. It's tough. It really is.
I mean, no.
May I throw another question in?
Sure.
Sorry.
Are you still working on that ceiling disappearing stuff? And made any progress with that? Because keeps happening. I mean, I'm only a PvE player, so I won't be that pissed like a PvP player. But
it's a terrible
half of our
bug.
cathedral. Half of our cathedral collapsed, which is
it drives me nuts. It's certainly one that we keep saying, like, guys, if we had to pick like the top 5 bugs right now, this would be one of them. It's a hard one to fix. It really is. We put through a fix initially, and it somewhat addressed it, but it didn't fix it.
But it wasn't in season 1. How is it possible that it is in season 2?
Well, it also has to do with some like sort of dev pipeline stuff and technical debt, because there's changes that we've got coming up that kind of overlap with some of that. And we did work on that for quite a while. Right now, we're not working on the fix for it because some different things that are coming in around Xbox launch should deal with it. It sucks that it's been there for so long. Absolutely. For all players, whether you're PvE or PvP, nobody wants to see chunks of their base fall away. For PvPers, they can go to sleep and wake up and part of their defenses are just exposed. And for PvE, I mean, you spend time building your nice base and then you come in to, do some adjustments to it and random parts on the other side of the base fall away. Like, that's super frustrating.
That's but you mentioned the Xbox release. Are we going to get anything for the game for the PC?
Yeah, it's coming through for both.
Yeah, I understand. Maybe I should phrase that a little bit better. Are we going to be getting anything in addition to the Xbox release? Like anything?
That's coming. Yeah, that's coming through with all of the content that is due for the mega patch. So it's going to have the new islands. It's going to have the stuff that's been teased. with
the.
That's a good point.
Yeah, because
you changed the island settings.
Right.
Dolly, you mentioned the grind in the game. Actually, the resource grind is not so big, while the good blueprints. Actually, this is the major problem. So, do you have plans to add minimum values, for example, for every tier of blueprints? Because I'll give an example. Spent recently about 8 hours hunting from good cannons, and I got 100% damage mythical cannons with 190 durability. This is
That's nice.
and honestly, that was the only red ship I met, the only red galleon, and it gave me that. So this is really frustrating.
Yeah, totally.
Players like me with almost 3,000 hours in the game, we have huge libraries, and from these huge libraries, I can say that I can get
less than 5% is
20, 30 really good blueprints from let's say 10,000. This have to be addressed because players right now don't feel rewarded for the time and effort they have put in that grind.
Yeah,
This is the major
definitely.
grind. This is the major grind in the game, not the resources. Because Eric said we want to streamline the time to set sail. Actually, any existing ship in the game is grindable from scratch for several hours. Of course, your hands have to grow from the correct place, but that's another story, and you can do nothing about this. But this is the reality in the game. You can grind any ship for hours. Okay, mythical ship, let's say 2 days, 3 days.
But then the leveling of it,
blueprints are the
like let's talk about that. You know, the leveling of them. The grind isn't over once the ship's
the
made.
leveling of the ship
Max
is
level in 2 days.
Yeah, max
1
level
day, 2 days
compared to the
even,
blueprints.
yeah.
on X2. You just you
Right,
want to level a cargo
but you
galleon.
guys are
You
guys
put
are coming
12,
from the angle.
12 cannons on the S. You hunt the ships of the damned, and you have leveled cargo galleon. Then you just remove the cannons. So leveling is not a problem. The major problem with the grind are the good blueprints. That's the major problem.
Right, and we're planning on doing a full BP rework, like not only in like as you know was mentioned in the stream, just overall scaling in the game. Also, you know how BPs work. We're doing a full pass. But basically internally when we say full pass, as I'm sure many of you probably get, that means not just tweaking and looking at balance of them, but completely breaking it down from the ground up and looking at the entire system. And in regards to what you were saying about the grinds, I think it's important to bear in mind that we all have different tolerance levels for what constitutes grinds, and a lot of you who are still in the game right represent like the more hardcore players who are highly efficient and min-maxing. I think that keeping a challenge in there for that type of player whilst also making, say, the mid-tier more easily available to smaller groups or less efficient groups would be a really nice place to also, so that, you know, once people get their mythic galley, that if that gets sunk in PvP, it's not like I'm gonna like rage log for the night. You know, that they can be like trying to find this fine line between them being valuable and feeling like there's an accomplishment to, you know, build and level that up, but not to the point of where, you know, if it's sunk, it feels really devastating. Yeah.
Yeah, it shouldn't feel like that.
That's other thing that you have to address because in PvP, especially many small tribes, once they get raised, they literally quit.
Right,
they are left with nothing.
Right, and that's something that we've been
leads,
talking about recently in regards to bringing in some changes, not just in terms of balance and quality of. We've been talking about ideas where we can give players the ability to keep some stuff safe. I know that a lot of you guys are being cheeky on free ports. Like, I know you're stone creatures. Hold on a sec. Hold on. But the reason I haven't touched it too much is like initially, my initial reaction was, well, that's kind of exploity. It shouldn't happen. But then I thought, hold on a sec. This is indicative of something that's our problem. When is it that bad that players are doing that? Like, yes, it's technically an exploit, but what is that doing, especially for the smaller company? It's giving them a reason to log back in the next day after they've been wiped and start building up again because they haven't lost everything. They've got their good breed line. They've got some stuff stored on there, which indicates to us that we need to look at this complete wipe meta, and we need to look at some ways where it's still being tossed around. I'm not saying these are definites, but some things that we've discussed, you know, the ability to store ships in bottles, put them in a cloud, the ability to, and this would also help with perf, right? Get some of those ships out of the harbor. Same with tames. Get some of those tames into, say, again, I'm just giving an example. I'm not saying this is set in stone, but things that have been thrown away. Say a barn, and that barn is just registering as one structure, and it, you know, unless an island is like perhaps completely claimed, that barn can't be damaged and those people's creatures are safe. Just as an example, like obviously we need to figure out a lot with that and make sure that we're doing what we can so people can't exploit it. I really do believe that in PvP, people, you know, they want to feel like they won. They want to, like, if it's not popcorn, to like try to get some good BPs or whatever from someone. But I don't think that we need to look at it in the way that Ark was, where there's this full, complete, like, destroy to the ground, wipe someone out. Because especially for the smaller groups, that people just quit. And when, you know, we're not looking at that full survival game.
Talking about the grinding.
Unfortunately, I just want to add one thing to Dolly's statement. And unfortunately, the nature of the beast is that the strong are going to wipe out the weak, not necessarily raise them to the ground, but they are going to fight them tooth and nail. And people are going to quit because of the amount of time that we invest in games like this.
Right.
But that being said, I want to know from you, earlier in the season, pre-season 2, okay, which we call it, you were saying that we were going to get NPC puckles or NPCs that were going to be mounted on stationary defenses wouldn't count towards Tame limits. That obviously hasn't come to fruition for whatever reason. Are you guys still looking at doing something like that?
Yeah, and we're also looking at just, you know, generally, I can't go into specifics, but tame limits and such at the moment are also need to be looked at due to Xbox launch. So, yeah, a fair bit of that will be changing, I'd say.
Can I know? Erik mentioned about your refocusing on sailing. So his roadmap shows that you want to focus to literally push people into the sea. So what I'm going to say is a bit radical, but have you considered entirely removing land combat and put the combat just in the sea? So people should feel safe about their possessions on the ground. Bases
underground.
in the sea, fight how much you want. But
that's something that
this will
actually
allow people.
Jat and I toyed around with that a bit. We were even at one point toying around with the idea of, rather than contesting or fighting for a claim over land, making some capture the flag points pop up like RNG style around the island in the sea, things like that. But I do
keep some element of risk, otherwise there's
right. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to find that balance between there's some risk, but you're not losing absolutely everything.
We've had questions about balance and suggestions and stuff that honestly can easily be solved in the future. But let's ask some bigger, more important questions, like such: is there a chance that we're gonna see anything of the old system back?
Yeah,
like,
the claim system,
like the claim system, because you guys mentioned something in the stream about the claim system, but it was like really short.
As of right now, like I have a quick question about it. Like the way claiming you can't really claim an island right now against an active tribe. Like it doesn't matter how many times you kill nakeds because as of now the flag. If there's 2 flags,
put the flag in the water.
Start declaiming their flag, right? But then one guy contests on a horse for like 5 minutes and you lose all your progress.
Not on the horse. Not on the horse. They can contest under the water. So
yeah, we know you're pissed. Like keep it.
No. Hold on. Okay, first of all, like I'm well aware of the issue, that specific issue going on right now with the claim flag that can be placed underwater. It's an edge case. It's not intended, and it's something the programmers are working on. More holistically speaking, like in terms of being able to claim an island, yeah, like we're aware that it can be cheesed. It can be cheesed in so many ways. So we're also aware of the fact that people can, say, for example, build on top of a pillar, and they can have their claim flag. Even if we limit the ability to place claim flags high up, they can just glide down naked to contest that.
My question wasn't really around that. It's more like why would, if 2 flags are placed at the same time and both parties are contesting, why would the flag that's been taken down still like go back up?
Start
if that
the
makes
timer.
Sense.
Yeah.
Why would it reset the timer if both parties are still contesting on the flag? Because you can be contesting for 50 minutes and then it's
a good
one guy on the
question, Milo. Don't yell at me. I yell about it too.
Frustrated, okay, Dolly?
Milo, don't get emotional.
I do have one
okay.
thing about the claim
It's
flag.
alright. I'm just messing.
Well, that's one thing about the claim flag. We actually tried to attack an island a couple of weeks ago, but they ended up having about 1,000 1-by-1 rooms where they could sit there and hop around these fucking rooms for, I think it was somewhere around about 3 or 4 hours. And then they had NPCs doing this stuff as well. Like, is there going to be changes to that? Because that's kind of ridiculous where we got to blow into 1,000 rooms just to uproot these airlock beds.
This is where I wanted to get to. This is what I wanted to get to.
Hold on.
Okay.
That is another example. Like, I appreciate the examples, but I am aware of them. There are many examples as to why the claim system isn't optimal right now. The way that people honeycomb, the way that they contest, the way nakeds can contest, the way that they're both, contesting at the same time. There's a lot of issues with it, and it's a tricky one. Totally aware. Yeah, I mean,
this is why I have a question for all of you. Like, regarding this, wouldn't it be better if we would have the old claim system, but whenever you place the flag, it costs gold, 1, and 2, you also add the combat timer, which we've seen in season 2.
Yeah, I was about
instead of
to
having
think,
instead of having invulnerability, how about you have like 300% more resistance on structures, animals, players, blah blah blah, whatever. It's like an offline raid protection, like you see in Ark, where the turrets get buffed.
No, that's not a raid protection that's viable. The Chinese would come and attack us, 300 people, while we're offline and raid into our base.
Yeah, they can still offline you. So what's the point?
However much health they have, they will do it while we're offline.
Like, I really.
No, I'm asking this
because good for medium.
I'm asking this because in season one, people would build smart and they wouldn't spam everywhere, because any building on their island could become an enemy fob in a matter of minutes. So this is, I don't know. I feel like the old system prevented exactly this huge spam and lag, which makes everyone quit.
But in season 1, people won't sleep also. They are, awake all night to defend the island.
Yeah, see, it's so hard.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah,
but
just a moment, Eugen. There were pros and cons to each, and we do recognize that, and it's certainly, the claiming system as a whole is something that we're going to have our eye on for a while. Whilst someone's got their mic open,
going in.
I really enjoy talking with you guys and getting more information about how it's playing out for you, but overall, the best way to give me that type of information, as many of you do, is to either put it in DM, or what I really love is when some of you make documents. Like, they're awesome. And no, I do. I love it. Like, thanks, Tim.
There we go.
And we've got I don't know if they're in here right now. I won't call, but yeah, we have some players who are amazing with that. And give us a lot of information. So while I do,
sorry, can I ask you one very quick question?
just a moment. So yeah, I fully hear you, and I do like talking about that stuff, but I don't think it's relevant to everybody in the channel. So please, the too long didn't read is we're aware that the claim system has its fault. We're aware that the last one had pros and cons, and this one does. And please send your ideas through to us. There's ideas right now that have come from some players in regards to the way that we're looking at Blueprint. We certainly do incorporate suggestions and ideas that players give us into our overall game plan. Some of you have 3K plus hours in the game.
Right. A Google Doc?
Yep.
I love Google Doc. Give me your Google Doc. I never have less than 20 tabs with Google Docs open at any one time. Ask Jack.
So on the topic
I have
of
a very, very quick question, if that's okay.
Yes, Fred.
Are we actually ever going to see our hats?
No. All right. Okay. Q&A's over. Can't be answered. Fucking Dolly has left the chat.
I'm still waiting for Jet Set.
On the topic of pillar spam, though. By the way, Fallon here. What's up, Dolly? What's up, everybody?
Hey, Fallon.
But on the topic of pillar spam, what if we made war timer flags, kind of like dropping a war token, but say the company goes up to another island, and that island is in wartime. You place down a flag, which gives you a radius area where you are now allowed to attack. You put the flag down, say 10, 15 minutes or whatever, you claim that little area, and now you are allowed to attack anything in that radius.
That'd be cool. Or you could go about it by making a structure that prevents building with a big radius that you have to take down first. Like just something that stops people from needing to spam pillars.
Guys, Ken, these are suggestions and ideas, but let's ask global stuff that actually, for instance, I think a good question would be, instead of having 2x in the weekends, which pretty much places everyone in the middle of the week to not farm and just wait for the weekend, what if we have a permanent another 2x, and this way maybe in the weekends we have events like the new lead designer was talking about.
You have it with the Yeti skill, permanent X2. You have with the Yeti boss skill. So
Have you guys thought about this? Because you did say about making the game easier for everyone.
Or even make
far more.
Well, that's
To
why
be
you
honest-
make the Yeti buff.
No, because it's gonna be but the big companies are gonna use that in their advantage even more. So that's not really a balance solution.
Right. Yeah, it's always a balancing
apart from
act
just
between the two.
making.
Also, one other thing I should mention, aside from my jokes about my love of Google Doc, the forums, even though we don't always respond, they always have a lot of eyes on them, and it's not just myself and chat. So, if you do have something long to contribute and you put it in a post there, I assure you, it's read. And quite often, one of us will grab it and share it with the rest of the team on our Slack, and everybody gets to read it. So please,
Do you actually think that once the Xbox is released, that the development of Atlas will actually go a lot faster and a lot smoother because you're not concentrating on the Xbox?
I wouldn't put it exactly that way. I would say that over the last chunk of time where we've been a little more quiet has certainly been partially due to the fact that we are focusing on getting that. And once that's out, it certainly frees up quite a bit of technical bandwidth there that can go back into other stuff.
Please
But
tell me
a
it's
lot
not going to be an
of
Atlas
a lot
mobile.
of Atlas mobile.
Please no. I will lose it if you guys do that.
Because I've heard nothing about Atlas.
Can we
mobile.
talk about Torpor in this game?
Can we
Torpor in this? We can. Torpor in this game right now sucks. That's pretty much it.
It's absolutely retarded. Just
Right.
remove it completely.
We're it's certainly
disable it in
hands-on.
peace phase. That should
Right.
not be too hard. I hope.
You talked about islands that get changed. When you don't wipe, what has happened to the people that build on the island that get changed? Get they wiped in this position because getting they lose months of progress.
Right.
What has happened to these islands?
As I said, we haven't decided whether we're going to wipe or not. If we did, there is a way that it was done in Ark in the past where tribes were given loads of notice to, give them time to move and set up. I understand it's not ideal. And as I said, this is, next month we'll have, a decision for you guys.
If you bring in console
in 4 days,
if you bring in console to official, you would pretty much, if you're gonna cross-platform them, you pretty much have to wipe the servers, right? Like
There
they
is
can't
an
just
argument
Definitely.
for it.
Why would they
There-
want to play if they got
Right.
Guys, putting Dolly and Jet aside, I don't want to cause panic here, but we all know the answer to that, okay? So let's let's not beat it around too much. Okay?
I said like
I was an
Google
Xbox.
Dog with my submarine. No problem.
But we all know the answer. They have to wipe the servers for Xbox to
Yeah,
be
of
merged
course.
in, whatever.
Plus, everyone did maps with ropes and guillotines, so okay, moving on.
So I have a question about maps, actually. Is anybody looking into the inconsistency of the soldiers spawning? A lot of the time we'll go on like a 3-hour boat ride to get to a masterwork map. We'll get to the top and it'll spawn and shit will just fall through the map and we can't kill it.
Right.
And we just wasted
Totally.
6 hours.
Yeah, we've fixed a few cases of that. If you come across that in game, please go to the bug reports channel, grab the CCE. If you don't know how to do that, I've pinned the instructions on how to grab the cheat coordinate and let us know exactly where it is, and that will be moved on to QA and we'll fix that.
I would like to add to that I have done like at least a solid 300 journeyman masterwork maps since you all initiated that change or your last change on that, and I think your last pass actually did a very good job. There's not been a single map I've done in that bunch that if I left and then came back 10 minutes later and respawned everything, stuff wasn't killable. But there still are small percentages of the time where it'll spawn in and just the first time it'll be fucked.
Yeah, totally. I'm happy to hear that you're seeing less of it though. That's good.
And
on the note of
there's
XP,
still bots that spawn under the rocks, so you have to drag them step by step to the sea to drag them on servers. On surface, that should be addressed.
All
They
just
just
stuff that
spawn
we'll
at the
continue
rock.
to iterate on. Yeah, we'll continue to iterate. They're bugs. Please just keep reporting them. You guys doing that. I know that sometimes people wonder if we're looking. We are, and you'll see in the patch notes that stuff comes through. When you give us those types of locations, so many more of you than there are of us able to find those things and let us know so that we can patch it.
Are you looking at doing more sea battles with different ships? Because the ships and dams are a bit, don't take use of the firepower which we do have, especially in PvE.
We would love to introduce all of the everything on the sea, player ships, like NPC Ship. There's a couple of things. Like, are we hyped to do that? Absolutely. It is quite a lot of work, and it's also a we have to be very careful in terms of performance. So the short answer is yes, eventually, and we do have plans for that, and we know that especially with more varieties of player ships.
That's fantastic. That'd be good to see. Thank you.
Yeah.
Someone's echoing.
Focus and Miyake, could you mute yourself, please?
Kick him.
I have a small question.
Hold on. Who's?
I muted
With the stuff going on the PTR.
No, it's still there. Sorry.
it's occasion, I think.
It's occasion.
Occasion. Bayaki.
I was curious with the PTR stuff that's going on right now. When will we see that live?
That's all going to. That's
or is
going
that
to be
going to
with
be with the
Xbox.
Xbox stuff?
Right, Mega Update Xbox. That's all rolled in together.
Okay.
I had a question.
Yeah. Okay.
So you were talking about after the Xbox release, there's going to be a lot of technical bandwidth freed up because they're not going to be focused on that anymore. Are we going to see greater support for like private servers for somebody who doesn't have a server tower somewhere, who just wants to play it with his friends on his computer, but have it running all the time and not a connect peer-to-peer thing?
Right. Peer-to-peer. Now, I'm going to be straight up. I'm not the expert in the studio to talk about this stuff, so I'm going to give you like what I understand. You know, peer-to-peer is sort of the tethering and such like that sort of thing is necessary when people are doing the non-dedicated single player. Sorry for calling, but do you want to answer this question?
Can you guys hear me now? My headset wasn't
Yeah.
actually working.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Could you take this one?
yeah, it was in regards to being able to host. Basically, you want to know if you can host the full Atlas map on a single server, right? We have it working in non-dedicated mode right now, but to get it working as a single server, as a regular dedicated, it wouldn't be possible on our end unless we like implemented some backend interface similar to. There was a modder working on something where he basically has it so the servers spool up as you get near them. We could possibly do something like that, but it would kind of require some work for our engineers to go in and make that change, and it's really not on the horizon. We're pretty content with the game modes we offer right now because people do have the option to host like single servers as Blackwood, or you can make a custom Atlas grid for a smaller server, or you can experience the full map using non-dedicated. If we were to do the other stuff, it would have to like come at the development resources of something else. And right now, we're really focusing on kind of resolving the issues with the game once Xbox goes out the door, and that's like dealing with the problems you guys have mentioned today. So I wouldn't rule it out completely, but it's certainly not on the horizon anytime soon. So for now, it's just the game modes that you have now, where it's single player, non-dedicated mode, which is the tether system, or hosting an unofficial with you can use an Atlas a non-Atlas map like Blackwood, or using multiple dedicades and hosting a grid.
Right. Thank you.
Small question, please, about the crossplay. Does it will works on dedicated?
Dolly went BRB, so Jet.
Yeah.
Give me 1 second. I need to deal with something in the office, and then I will answer that question once I'm.
While they prepare that answer for that small question, I have a big question.
Don't think anybody's here to answer your big question.
EU NA merge.
When?
Well, I could tell you right now that most of us on NA are planning on just going to EU if there isn't a merge regardless. So we're
just gonna leave the Chinese alone on the NA.
You lost it to the Chinese.
We're gonna force it whether it happens or not.
Oh, don't worry. We'll bring the Chinese with us.
TM is already here.
We just gotta kill them between their reloads.
Okay.
More heads to chop. That's all I say.
By most team means like 30 people or so, because I know a lot that don't want to do that. I just don't want to fucking level again. That's just straight up.
Yeah, actually, that's so true. Fuck leveling.
Well, it's looking like we got 3 months before anything significant happens.
We don't know
so why
just level while you're winning in WoW?
Well, they did. They said something about December 7th on console. So.
No, console.
So what's going on? What's going on NA right now? Are you guys getting cucked by the Chinese?
No, there's nothing happening with the Chinese. The Chinese are all gone on. Wow, it's very low action right now.
They're not
for the
really
most part.
even fighting back.
We're just very bored on NA.
Basically the same across the board. Like,
It's like
I
three
am.
companies versus 3 companies. If that.
Yeah.
It's just so boring now.
We have to sail an hour and a half to have a chance at getting some PvP.
You guys don't do island phobes?
You guys gotta take an island.
There's island fobs all over the place, but that doesn't ensure content. It's still a chance at having content.
The islands that are still on NA are so overbuilt that it's just going to take you forever to even get anywhere.
You know what the problem is with the combat timer right now is dumb because if they energy you and NA, pretty much the Asians will fuck the EUs will fuck the NAs, and probably the NAs will fuck the Asians. You know what I mean? Because everyone will set up their timer. Those 9 hours in their
That's
That's
the way it is on NA anyway. It's always been
NA
like
right
that.
now. NA right now.
Then
China
you just have a fancy orgy.
Like this combat timer only works because
Intercultural sex
we all
party.
have our own regions. But
I mean, LAN PvP is stupid anyway, so who cares?
Yeah, of course.
Shut up, Drew.
It's got some balancing
Still wondering
issues.
that no one
Armor
asked
is
the real
broken
big
as hell right
question
now.
so far.
Well, if you guys come to EU, don't worry. D11 will be empty soon, so.
Wait, I heard that on NA you guys don't use the Torpor meta.
Yeah, they do.
We do.
Yeah, we do.
Everybody, the Torpor meta. I use the Torpor meta on Jat in the test service.
Fuck
Yeah.
Torpor.
Trust me, the Torpor meta is used on NA.
You keep him in a gibbet, only hands out, so he can type.
I just wish
Dolly, have you guys talked about EU
big-
and NA merger with the wife?
I didn't catch that, sorry.
Have you guys discussed seriously about the possible EU NA merger?
Merging NA and EU
I can cover
servers.
this one if you want.
Sure, go for it.
So it's theoretically possible, but there is going to be transfer issues. Something we're worried about is like we're again the case where a boat transitions to another grid, right, and then it just kind of does. And that's why once we have networks which are cross region, those are the issues we run into, and they're solvable, but we haven't yet decided whether we want to go down that route. But during that phase 4 plan where we do the world changes, it's certainly open for discussion.
But
it's
aren't
nothing
you
we're
guys-
leaning towards right now.
I have one short question. I heard right now, 1 minute before, a lot of NA players are thinking maybe to joining NA. And EU. And I'm a EU player, but I would be an NA player. It would be hard for me to change to EU because of the level difference. And is there any possibility to transfer character?
Like keep your character stats, keep your levels, basically.
Yeah, give them give
I
them
mean,
a
theoretically,
please.
yes, but it's not something we've really discussed at the time.
I mean,
but I mean, think
because
about the
leveling-
lag too, guys.
Do it for us.
Yeah, make us pay like $10 or $15, you know, fucking make us pay $10 to switch our characters. We'll pay it, like we don't give a shit.
I'd pay $10 for that.
Guys, the game is already so laggy, even without all the NA players in the EU. If you all come over to the EU, the game will just fucking break down. Like you get 30 people PvPing, you can't even move in the game.
Everything without the level, though?
Okay, let's suppose there's gonna be a wipe, and let's suppose there's gonna be a merger UNA. Which servers you guys gonna host servers on, EU or NA? Where are you gonna keep your data center?
Both are on the NA. Sorry, EU.
No, they're not.
No.
If
True,
they
that is-
throw that way, it's not true. Right? They certainly are in NA and EU.
So
As
you-
Jet said, like it is a possibility, but there is a lot of stuff for us to consider there. If we were to do it, yeah, there are ways to make it so some of the servers on the grid are hosted in NA and some are hosted in EU. But as Jat said, there's like potentially a lot of issues with somebody transferring between each, and it's
We'd have to create a new system to stitch up the grids
Yeah.
too. It's
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
I'd rather
So-
put those resources towards server performance issues because it's the same kind of people that would work like networking engineers.
I just do EU servers. It's how like most MMOs run their,
I
someone's
mean,
always
let's
gotta-
face it. Even
know
in
what MMO
Arc,
you play.
even in Arc, when a server gets DDoSed, it immediately gets shut down, and the box is moved on a new box, which has DDoS protection and better hardware at a cheaper price. So we all know that EU servers are generally cheaper and better. and have
I
more
play
protection.
from Australia on EU and NA.
Yeah.
I'm
So,
Australian. I feel your pain.
Well, there's no pain at all. I play the game fine.
So, Jet, are you
Yeah.
saying that NA players would have problems on EU boxes when they transfer grids?
He's saying
with
from
how
going
the
from
current
NA.
system works, because we rewrote the transfer system entirely for Atlas. It's very different to the one on Arc. There will be technical issues like that we would have to deal with before we could release it, and it's just a question of, is this even worth our time when we could spend that on fixing other things that
No,
may make it.
I think the question was if it's just on EU servers, there wouldn't be.
Like
right.
if everyone would be on EU servers. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, there's less likely of that having any issues. That's like if people, because I mean, we have like
Yeah,
Australians
you could
playing
just-
right now on EU and NA.
That's my argument. The lag's not that bad.
I
You know,
live
NA
in
to EU won't be.
I live in NA and I play in EU and I feel no different at all. Zero.
Half the people in NA are not in NA.
And
what I
I'm
can
South
say
African and I play from there and I play NA. So
I'm in Europe and I play
Okay,
in
so
NA.
I think everyone can agree that everyone being on US servers,
Well-
that would be more than okay. Here's another question.
There's
Here's
also-
another question.
He's taking the poll.
You also got to think it's
Here's another
exponential.
question.
He's a French guy.
We all know free
I need
grids
French
in Atlas right now is free subservers of one physical server. If you manage to get everyone on a 15 by 15 EU grid, EU NNAs, right? This would technically mean that you would have more budget to, let's say, maybe shrink those number of virtual servers, so each grid would have like more resources in the back to hold like massive PvP. You know what I mean?
I understand what you're saying, but there's like diminishing returns behind it. There's only so much that we can pump out from a particular mission. It's why you find a lot of games and applications don't do multi-pred and stuff like that. And UE in general, when it was as an engine, it doesn't support it initially, and they're doing more to support it. I mean, as time goes on, it's something worth considering, but at that point, it's like we wouldn't even. It'd just be wasted resources. More so, it doesn't work in the ideal world, yes, but sadly, like just due to how things are, it would just be we're not making the best use of the resources.
That's
we
what
have
I was
available.
going to say. Based on what they were saying about latency and stuff like that, you also have to remember latency is exponential. So, just you add 5 people, it doesn't increase by just 5 people; it increases way more than that. So, we get massive PvP on an EU server like that, and have a lot of NA players. They're going to suffer. I mean, that's just the way it's going to be.
But
Just
we
like
also
IE suffer on the NA servers now.
we also need to remember that the state of the game currently, we would love to get servers merged because we all want more people, we want more PvP. But when this season first came out, so to speak, months ago, the NA numbers were significantly higher than the EU numbers at prime time and everything like that. And only within the last month or 2 months or whatever did NA really start dropping off heavy. And now EU has the numbers over NA.
So for the NA people, how often do you guys war token? Because I know the last time EU did a war token, they were like, "We're never war tokening ever again."
Last weekend,
about
there were
3 of
some.
them.
See, I think having a high Asian population on our servers though kind of requires it a lot more too, because like CSTG, which is the big Chinese group at the moment, will token us back and forth, and to actually hit each other at all because we're off time zones. It's kind of
Yeah, our time zones are pretty much opposite.
Yeah,
but even then, the NA's doing it to each other. We had like 8 in one weekend.
Yep.
Do we have any more like sort of general questions or any clarity anyone was looking for?
Flyers.
Yes, I have.
Did you guys think about adding flyers?
Why do Puckles aim on
It's
grenades?
a pirate game. You don't need flyers.
Yeah.
Thank you
More
very much.
boats, less Tame.
I don't even like gliders.
I mean, you can ride a dragon, so
yeah.
When
There's a few things we gotta rethink. I mean, I think we're pretty.
when's the
Weapon
Xbox
flyers would be a
Everybody
good thing for scouting and stuff, but just make them a one shot.
Yeah.
Can you guys talk about the sail rework that was mentioned a while ago?
Oh yeah,
Complete
overhaul on sales.
Again in the stream, right?
Well,
Basically, we're looking at overall travel time. We're looking at ship speeds holistically and wind speed. And yeah, the
Handling
velocity
sails?
stat on speed set. All of the sails need a little bit of a pass, and we'd like to tackle that all together. And that's the reason why we didn't just put the velocity stat back in on speed. Also, I'm guessing a lot of you will agree. When you've got the scaling the way that we do currently in regards to the ship, if people can also scale that way in speed, it is such a strong stat. And as I mentioned, 30 minutes ago or so in this conversation, we do want people to feel that sort of that jump when they invest in the good quality stuff, and to feel like they've got a really powerful ship. But the gap between the haves and have-nots is quite large. When you also include speed in that, where someone's got their mythic galley and they're coming up on someone else that has a kind of a plebby one, if they can't even escape as well because you're just mowing them down that, that scaling there is really harpoon to be looked at totally.
I mean, there's a lot of things we want to address.
Remove
Harpoon. Once
The
we're ready
Harpoon
to
gives you no
discuss what
chance
those
to
changes
his.
are, we will. There is a lot we want to do. We recognize the issue. The point of the stream wants to tell you here's what we're gonna do, because a lot of Eric's stuff is beginning post Xbox, right? That's just the studio mandate we had for our commitments and obligations. This is him coming in, letting you know, hey, you're gonna have a designer who's gonna talk to you directly. We're gonna talk about these problems: harpoons, speed cells, traveling out at sea, torpor, the way items scale, all of the things that we mentioned. Those are things he's aware of, that we're aware of, myself and Dolly and the rest of the team, and we plan to address them. And that's all gonna be coming in. And once we're ready to talk to you about them, we will. And you'll also see it. You'll see the changes happening in game.
Yeah, it's just a little worrying how bad the NA server is at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Hopefully we can all.
understandable. We don't, we, we.
It's a lot of work for us to maintain. In the current state of the game, we put a lot of work to maintain our bases, and it's just not worth it at the moment for the PvP we get.
Right, right.
We're going to have to move the EU probably to get that, and just forget about all our stuff we've built up on NA, which we're just got to make that decision.
Yeah. To be honest, the game isn't much fun at the moment because of the numbers, and unless you got a solution to that.
I love the game. I love the melee PvP. I don't mind the Torpor. It's a little worrying with the harpoons on ships and speed.
Yeah, but I mean,
it's to be about the numbers too. Are you planning on some kind of strategy to recover the numbers?
I don't think the Torpor in and of itself is the main culprit. It's when it's combined with certain feats and blackjack. It's the combinations that players, and you guys are very good at figuring out how to min-max that.
Yeah, people don't know there's a block mechanic with melee weapons. You can avoid this Torpor that you're receiving, stat into fortitude.
Yep.
People just don't know. It's someone said earlier about grenades hitting puckle shooting grenades. Well, set your puckles to Pathfinders only, and they'll never shoot the grenade.
But you shouldn't need 3 hits with Torpor meter and 10 or 15 hits. It's the usual hit.
Right. This all comes back to balance, and
you said I should put it on. You said I should put it on Pathfinder, but they should anyway because
they don't.
I had it on, I
disagree. I disagree. I've set buckles on my base. I know exactly what I'm talking about.
Not really a conversation right now.
Anyway,
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It's a question for the devs right now, which is more important.
What about the lore of Atlas? Ark has an amazing story and it's so intriguing and everything. Will you guys touch up on the lore of Atlas and
that's
get
into be the thing, and that's kind of what we hinted out with factions. That's something that we're kind of considering writing in as well. But there is this backstory that exists. I don't know how much we revealed about it. I don't think we revealed too much. We initially planned to do similarly to Ark, an explorer node system, but it would be when you discover a new island, you'd uncover nodes and special landmark features on those islands. Whether we still go with that now that we have new design lead, we'll have to see. But lore is important, and we want the lore to translate into relevant gameplay mechanics. We don't just want to add lore for the sake of it. We want the lore to also be representative of what people are experiencing in the game too.
Yeah, like
and
at
it
the
can also
moment,
translate to living events and stuff like that.
at the moment when you do a Power Stone, you do get that big page of what I'm assuming is lore.
Yeah, that was like the
I've never been able to read it because we always just run into the cave naked with the key and then die to a bat 2 seconds later.
Great mechanics, Mal.
I have a question about the ship designs more likely. Currently, the ships actually used by players in the game quite differ from your intended design. I mean, your intention is cannons being used in gun ports. The reality is that people built towers on the back or the noses of bricks, for example, because the ballistics in the game works higher placed cannons, larger range. So do you have plans to rework this and let's say meet in the middle? Because people have found intuitively the more effective way to use the cannons on the ships, and it differs from what you have designed initially.
We're not too surprised that the designs differ from what we initially launched the game with, and how the trailers are made and how our marketing stuff is made, because players will always be creative, especially in sandbox games, right? You guys will always do whatever it takes to make the most effective thing, and it is something that is concerning in the aspect that, like, we kind of want the game to be presented a certain way, and maybe that's not directly achieved, but we also want you guys to have that freedom to make the choices that you feel make your ships most efficient and most effective. And there is an argument that maybe some balance changes need to be made here or there, and if we do decide to do them, they would be coming in the kind of ships sailing sea aspect, and that's when we'll kind of look at it as a whole and see how we want to address it, like what we would prefer the game to be looking at based on what you guys currently do.
And players being, imaginative with their builds is cool. I think where our responsibility falls is, like, we don't create the metas. We just give you guys the materials, and you guys create the meta. But if there is one, say with the large cannon shotgun meta, that just, was way above any other, and that gets boring.
cool.
We need to, give people different viable ways.
Please revert the nerf on the large cannons, please.
Yeah, the problem with the large cannon, they are too heavy.
The reason you guys nerfed large cannons in season 1 was because people would put them on decks and they would wreck anything because there's no resistance. But now we have ships with a lot of resistance, and you guys made force large cannons to be in gun ports, and we all know that's a bit of a disadvantage at sea because you're heavier, you can only shoot in a straight line, blah blah blah. How about
as we've said,
remove that?
As we've said, like, in terms of the big picture, we're looking at balance overall, like with the BPs and scaling with the ships. Say if we went in right now and, say for instance, tweaked large cannons, that can all change in the future, because we're going to sit back and take a really good look at how all of these things interact with each other and aim to balance this properly, rather than like a little tweak here and there. So it all.
I thought large cannons were the meta, at least on NA.
They are.
Yeah,
I think they're still viable.
If you take a large cannon brig against, if you take any design that you put on a large cannon brig and you take it up against my medium cannon brig, I would put my life on the line that I will beat you with my medium cannon brig.
Yeah, I also beat any large cannon brig.
Like a large cannon brig, it's always going to be quick and it can always run, so it probably won't sink, but it also won't sink anything.
I mean, that's the problem with brigs in general right now, in my opinion.
And these are things like we're planning on addressing, and we're also going to be taking a look at things we've done in the past, because like it's all cards are on the table now. Like we're open to kind of adjusting all these things, because Erik wasn't here initially with the launch of the game. We picked him up a month or two ago, and his design hasn't got into the game yet. He's been in like this planning phase, and he's been working on other stuff. We have other commitments as a studio, and that's why we made it very clear in the stream, like, after Xbox, that's when he's going to be coming into play, and that's when you'll see a shift in the direction of what we'll be doing. There'll be there's no this kind of, I tried to hint at the stream, but like we're going to be stepping away from this Tame game and focusing on the ships truly and making this like a proper pirate experience. I know we've said it before, So it's kind of sounds like a broken record.
Right.
But
And
that's
the
why we
melee PvP.
specified after Xbox is when you'll start to see those coming in because we have a new designer on board.
Stage 2, right?
Right.
And Erik is very hands-on. Since he came on board, he's been lurking like all of the different various social media, the forums, the Discord, seeing what players are saying. He's, in his own time after work, just keeping up to date with all of that. And I will say he meets with Jat and I regularly, a few times a week, 1 and 2 hour calls.
He's very communicative. Like it's nice to be able to access.
But did he see Team's spreadsheet? That's the question.
Yes, actually.
He's seeing
I sent it through.
And then one of the people here sent a bunch of videos to us this week, and I'm actually gonna, now that the stream is on, I'm gonna sit with him tomorrow in the conference room, and we're gonna go through all those videos. And
that person with that video who's lurking in, I see you who didn't send it to me too. See you. You're muted. I'm just messing around. So he's certainly like up to speed with all of it.
Yeah.
I do need to get going soon though.
Do you plan to have regular Q&A sessions, maybe not in voice, in dedicated channel, but that will allow players to give, to feel that their suggestions are listened or their questions. So in written form, it's not necessary to be in voice because in voice sometimes it's get messy, but in a moderated channel, you are going to receive regular feedback, and as well players will receive answers to their questions.
So we're gonna still do our Q&A with our streams. We may approach them differently going forward and start answering directly instead of framing the stream around questions. Exactly.
Yeah.
The other thing, though, and this is something I'm excited about, is that with Erik now coming on board, we can start to respond to these things on the forums because we actually now have the direction coming in. Like he knows where he wants to take this, and when you guys post things on the forums, like say you have a thread go up about a specific thing, and you guys are engaging there, we can now engage with you too. That's something like myself, Dolly, and Erik can come in.
Yeah.
Maybe him not as much as always, but me and Dolly can. That's where his convoy as well. So
yeah, that's part of our job. To
Thanks,
be
guys.
a conduit between the two, and also to be advocates for you guys. And that communication back and forth. And to be blunt, over the last month or two, there were things where Jat and I just couldn't respond yet. And now with Erik in and settled and this moving forward, we can start to get back into just more straight up.
We were leashed in your terms.
Yeah, we were leashed. We were leashed.
Thank you so much for
community managers unleashed. Look out.
The fact that you guys have recognized that people want some changes in ship PvP and your stage 2 of operations, so to speak, it doesn't really matter what you do or whatever. Anything you change, we'll make a new meta out of it, like you said. So we just want, I think most of us here would agree, we just want change in general. We would like to play around and do new things all over again. Kind of like the changes from season 1 to season 2. I guess if you can call it that. A lot of people preferred the large cannon meta. Personally, I thought it was just lame, but other people would disagree with me on that.
Right?
Yeah, everybody has a different opinion.
Ship Combat was so stale with that. It was so quick.
Harpoons, let's change them into grapples so we can zip line from boat to boat and board each other. Easy fix. Let us board each other and zip line.
You just block out except the swivels one shot.
Boarding is going to be a big thing.
We are totally interested in facilitating boarding. We want you guys to be able to viably board ships. We want you guys to look at being able to claim a ship as being, an actual viable option. It's something that we're certainly focusing on. As I said earlier, we feel that the ships and the ship combat, if I do say so myself, is probably our strength in the game, and we really want to work on that and bring that to the fore, while still giving, it's a sandbox game. We want to give the people the freedom to play the way that they want to, and not force everybody to spend most of their time on the sea.
I'll be right back. Take care of some.
On the sea.
Pirate game.
So does that
You guys
involve
working
the game with the
on-
boarding, or are you mainly only using PvP as and as the gameplay with that? Because I'd
Sorry, I
love
didn't
to.
catch the start.
I can't see boarding
Sorry,
ever being viable, to be honest.
I think
Only
it can
currently.
be.
You
I
can man,
believe-
You have to remove swivels.
you
Right.
can man as many swivels as you can. We're
It
already
doesn't
getting
matter. If
shot
they
by
make
swivels.
if they make changes, they could fix it easy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they could fix
we
it.
need to look at swivels, right? They're basically little
Yeah.
aimbots.
I can border
swivels.
ship with. I can border ship with multiple swivels on it. All I gotta do is make a
Not my
shield
ship.
and
It
put my
is. It
shield
is
out.
possible. It's possible,
It's not
but
impossible, but it's hard.
right.
Yeah, everything's
not
possible. It's just you got to be too
Especially when
crafty,
you're
it's too
working
complicated.
with like high ping and low frame rate. Like,
Yeah, trying to glide onto an enemy ship in 255 ping is not necessarily an easy thing.
I don't know what you're talking
um,
about. It's the smoothest experience of my life.
So I have a suggestion that maybe some people here would be okay with. So what we could do, I think, is a good suggestion. Is we could have PVE content that initiates PvP content, right? Like, for example, like Sea of Thieves. I don't know if you have ever played it or seen it, but they have like this thing
Never.
where
What is that?
above the sky there's like this skull on an island, right? And you go there and you could fight each other for a chest,
Mhm.
right?
like-
Yeah.
You could have blueprints or gold or something. I think that would be really
Totally.
good.
Yeah, we've talked about having things that people can fight over, and this like way in the future. We've been talking about instance servers and such as well. You know, bringing
World
more
bosses.
of that in. Yep.
Forcing
amazing.
people to do more PvP through PvE, like going to the Freeport, picking up a quest and saying, okay, Crow's Island is over yonder. I gotta go over there, raid his island in order to get, 5,000 mythos or something,
Like even some sort of capture the flag type of, I suppose you could say, mini game type of events and things like that. For
I think you've done a good thing with the gold farming on the whatever you call zones.
Golden Age.
Yeah, the Golden Age ruins. So if that wasn't so dangerous with the high level monsters killing you and all that,
Right.
if it could actually be viable to, if there was gold farming or something else, and it's a world boss there or something that you could actually do, stuff like that is good.
Right. Yeah.
Like a true MMO.
Have you guys?
And the golden, what you mentioned in general, and also specifically, the Power Stone. I mean, I don't think anybody in the studio is going to try and say that naked running and hoping for the best is a fun mechanic.
Yeah, it's real rough at the moment, but we have had some PvP battle.
That's literally the only reason that I dread a wipe is because I don't want to have to go through doing that all over again because it's literally the most boring thing in the game,
Right.
unfortunately. And it could be amazing with some
Everyone
tweaks.
argues with each other and shit. It's bad.
Yeah, it's like
Try
yelling,
crafting 3 galleons
"You got my
in one
key,
day.
you asshole." I mean, it's pretty.
Now, do you guys actually enjoy cave farming more than doing maps, or is it just because it's new and it's something newer, so it's easier to do?
I think
We stopped farming gold at Powerstone Island since they nerfed the respawn rate on the soldiers. It's you're better off doing maps.
Well,
it's
you're
not
going
worth
to the
it
wrong
anymore.
cave, my friend, because we
there
did
might be
things
one cave
much
somewhere
more.
that's good, sure, but nah. With
Yeah.
the your PvE ship's just going to get killed by someone farming ghost ships, or your bear's going to die to a cyclops. It's not. It
I
might be a
personally
different-
like cave farming a lot more than doing maps, just because of the sale time. You get a weekend,
Okay.
2 times.
Okay. Have you guys considered merging the PvE realm with the PvP?
Judd spoke about that on the stream. But you're not paying attention, Eugene.
No.
Yeah, he's not. He's definitely not.
I have a really important question too. Are you going to fix white paint?
Not before the wall
Is
hooks.
Eugene a developer of some sort, or do you work with
Great
the
question.
Grape
No.
Shot? Because
No.
I don't understand why you keep cutting people off when they're asking questions like they're irrelevant or something.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, to be fair,
people are
you guys were
rambling.
just talking
It's
about
good.
stuff. Yeah, you guys were just talking about stuff in his defense.
Okay, I'm just
I
curious
think a
if
lot
you work
of
for Grape
people are
Shot.
just jumping in. It's all right. Well, I really appreciate all of your time. I hope that we help to give you guys some clarity and answer some questions.
Yeah, thanks for doing it.
For sure.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Awesome.
Thank you very much for your support. I understand that things have been frustrating for you guys at times. I'm looking forward to being able to deliver on this stuff that we've been talking about. Getting that player injection in with crossplay. I think it's a different format, isn't it? It's a lot easier when it's a back and forth. Yeah. And I would say, it's something that I'll talk with Jat and Erik about, but I think I did get a bit of feedback from people saying that they felt the questions in the QA thread weren't addressed. And what we did, Jat and I grabbed all of those questions and literally worked them into the stream script. So they were there, but I think perhaps to be more noticeable to players next time, we should just present it with a different format and clearly read out the question and answer it rather than try to work it into the overall stream, because we spent quite a bit of time on that, to make sure that the things people wanted to know about were included, but I think some of it may have got lost a bit in the noise.
Yeah, a little on that though. I don't think it was necessarily just that questions didn't get answered, because you definitely gave us a lot of information with your timeline and whatnot and what you're planning on doing. But I think a lot of us were just kind of expecting, last dev stream, you said, here's torpedoes, here's ice cave, and this is gonna come out in 2 weeks or whatever.
Yeah.
That's the next thing you've got. Whereas for this one, it's just kind of hey, crossplay, and you're not getting anything until crossplay. And a lot of us were kind of expecting something added.
Yeah, it's just a frustration.
This stream was lacking on shinies. We still felt that it was important. I know for some people it was, a letdown, but it was really important to us to have one where we're sharing that roadmap and really communicating with you guys. And yeah, it may not be as exciting as here's some cool new shit, but we really wanted to communicate all of this with you and help you to sort of have a bit of a glimpse internally into what's happening, with a new game designer, Xbox being worked on, and crossplay. And it was kind of one of those in between, rather than here's all this new content, to just sit down and really talk with you. And for me personally, I was so excited that we could share that roadmap. It isn't just a PR thing that is representative of our internal roadmap. It was really exciting for me to be able to fill you guys in on what our plans are over the next 3 months, 6 months, even further, so that you're aware of what our long-term timeline is, and we'll continue to fill that in. So I apologize for the lack of shinies, but for me personally, and I think I can speak for the studio too, we were really relieved and excited to be able to just be more transparent.
No, it's good. I think we needed it, at least coming from NA players, because it's either people are going to be quitting NAU or it's good to hear that.
Thanks very much, guys.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Dolly.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank
you very much.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Au revoir.
Bye, guys. Have a good day. Bye, guys. Have a good day.